atheism, like, doesn't necessarily mean, like, you don't have faith, right? Like, because faith is, like, a core, like, the way I've been putting this on my show recently is faith is, the core ideology of faith is, like, believing in things that are against all the facts, right? Like, like, if I, like, it's like you can have faith that, like, you know, something like a friend will survive cancer. Your faith doesn't mean anything. Like, is a good, like, faith can be good in some areas, you know, you want to be in that good mindset. But, like, just the ability for people to believe in things that have not even, like, there's an absence of evidence, but, like, all the evidence that exists is in the opposite direction, right? A lot of atheists, I feel like, have, like, that faith-based thinking, right? They never got over the faith-based thinking. Like, they're great, you crack the code, God's not real, you want a cookie? But, like, they still, like, you know, they still believe in, like, these weird kind of, like, the Sam Harris thing, where it's, like, the free speech and is the pinnacle of everything, even though, like, first of all, we never lived in a society with actual free speech. And, like, the free speech, whenever you talk about it, it's defending those in power. And, like, you know, like, of course, Sam Harris's torture bullshit, which is what, that was, like, the big red flag for me when I read his, like, what he had to say about torture. And I was like, what? You know? And so, yeah, and, like, there was this, like, big pushback against atheism that I found. And I absolutely retreated from that, too. Like, you know, I always, like, my thing is I always had no problem making fun of religious people, like, when the time would present itself. I love making fun of people. I love satire. I think it's hilarious. And it doesn't always go well. But, you know, I love making fun of Christians. I just think it's great. I love doing the yeehaw voice. I have a lot of religious motherfuckers in my family. And, like, you know, they know I hate God. And, you know, some of them, they hate me, too. And that's fine. But I feel like since this Roe v. Wade, like, discourse started with the draft leak or whatever, I'm at the point where everything I've wanted to say, I'm just saying it and I'm forcing it into everything. Like, I hate religion. I'm an anti-theist. I think anti-theism is, like, the only morally correct position, in the same way that I think anti-fascism is the only correct position, right? Like, I just, like, we need to fight back. If someone's, like, a Christian and, like, because they believe in Jesus's, like, I hate rich people thing, I'm fine with that, you know? But when you start believing in Adam and Eve and the fucking magical sky fairies, I mean, I think does it hurt me per se necessarily? No. And are you free to do that? Yeah. But in the same way that I want to convince people that, like, Medicare for all is the obvious answer, I want to convince people, like, yeah, there is no Adam and Eve. They made them up, you know? Like, like, that's my kind of mindset. So, like, you know, how do you feel about, like, the anti-theism angle?
Oh, that's exactly where I'm at. I am a very staunch anti-theist, and I love the Christians who don't let a bigotry take over. Like, part of it is, I think that, like, if you are a bad person, you're going to use your religion to be a bigot and a bad person, and if you're a good person, you're going to use your religion for the same purpose. But at the same time, I still believe that as atheists, we should proselytize. And I'm reaching the point where I feel like I almost have a responsibility to spread the good word of atheism. Because even to the Christians who are good Christians, I mean, I think that religion is inherently abusive. And to explain what I mean by that, like, I grew up in the church, and it controlled every element of my life. And because I was so, like, deep in that religious cult, I believe that, like, this life had no value because it didn't matter, because we're gonna go to heaven one day, so this is just temporary. Like, this body is a vessel. And so it led to me, like, being okay with hating who I was. Like, growing up gay, it's like, oh god, I hate myself, but that's okay, this is just a temporary shell. And then finally, like, once I left the religion and became an atheist, this whole life had, like, new meaning and new value, because then it changed things for me, because, oh wait, this is the only life that we have? Like, that's it? Like, 80, 90 years, 100 if you're really lucky?
Oh, I'm living to 200. I've said this before. I'm going to be the one to do it.
Well, I mean, they say that the first person, I don't know who says this, but I've heard that the first person alive today who's going to live to be 1,000 is already alive.
And that's me.
So, well, perhaps.
Yeah. All right,
I don't know that I want to live beyond 100, though, personally.
Oh,
but
I do.
I don't know. It sounds miserable. I don't want to see what world, what happens to the world. But no, you just get a new sense of, like, meaning to this life, and then it kind of changes your political views as well, to where, okay, I really want to help people in this world. I want to fix this world, because if this is the only existence that we're ever going to have, we're just like a blip in the time scale of the entire universe, then there shouldn't be a single person who can't find water or food. I don't give a fuck what country you're in. Like, we're all just human beings. You know, we're on a rock floating through space. So it changes everything. And I think that people need to have that perspective. And again, like, I'm not going to berate Christians, but I'm not going to respect their religion as well. So I'm not going to... and look, the whole thing, like, you did a really great video that I watched the other day that really resonated with me. You talked about a segment. I can't remember. It was on the Majority Report. I didn't watch that segment, so I couldn't speak to, like, what they said, but you said something to the effect of, like, even the good Christians are bad people. And that really resonated with me, because it's so true. Like, any queer person you could talk to, they know about the Christians who are really accepting, and they're like, well, you know, I don't hate the sinner, I just hate the sin. And it's like,
yeah, they always, like, every once in a while you think, oh, okay, they're a good Christian, and then, like, it might take a couple weeks or months, but they'll throw something fucking freaky at you, and it's like, yo, what? Like, it comes out of nowhere. Like, as soon as you drop your guard, they just fuck you with that fucking shit. Oh.
Yeah, and the thing that frustrates me is any progress you make is temporary. I've learned that with Christian people. Because on one hand, like, to get really religious family members to accept, like me, and accept my husband, they had to rationalize that it was God making me gay so I could bring my husband to Jesus. Because I'll find God again one day, and then he'll come to God through me. But then, you know, there'll be a retreat. Well, they'll start to, like, date someone new, and that person is an evangelical, and then it's like, actually, I don't accept you at all. You need to turn away right now. So even, like, if you make progress, it's all just temporary. And so that's why I think the only way to truly progress as a society is to move away from religion. Now, you know, there was this criticism of atheists before that, oh, well, you only focused on Christians and not Muslims. But here's the thing, like, in America, Muslims do not dictate policy. Christians do.
That's correct.
And I have Muslim friends, and I didn't even know. I thought they were atheists, but they don't talk about it. Christians they're very zealot.
They just don't shut the fuck up. That's their problem. Those people, you know.
They want to shove it down your throats. And so, like, to me, like, my view on religion is I'm an anti-theist, but you still have to protect religious minorities. Like, and if you flip it, like in Egypt, Christians are a persecuted minority, and they can't really be as open as they are in the United States. So, I just want people to be able to live and be free. And for me, like, encouraging people, not by force, but by influence, to drop their religion, that's a part of freedom. It expands freedom of the mind, and I'm of the belief that I feel a responsibility to do that, even if, you know, it's a little bit of you're walking on landmines, because I don't want people to think that, like, oh, you can't be a good leftist if you're a Christian, or you're inferior to me if you believe. I just disagree.
I want people to think that.
You know, it's just I want people to be free, but I want them to be the freest that they can be. And I think that if you drop religion, that's really how you achieve not, like, the perfect essence of your true self, because that's impossible, but a better version, the best version of yourself. But that's my experience. Like, a lot of that is influenced by me leaving Christianity. Like, I was brainwashed at a very young age. The videos of me getting baptized.
They always talk about groomers, right? But, like, these people, like, will literally, like they will get, like, 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds reading Bible verses. It's crazy. I mean,
it's horrifying. Yeah, I was gonna say the videos of me, like, getting baptized with my, like, frosted blonde tips are so cringeworthy. But, like, you could see how such a young age, you know, I was indoctrinated into it. And it's not just that, like, you know, your parents take you to church and you're forced to go and you don't want to go. Like, it actually, you know, corrupts your mind too, because, you know, every little thing that I had as a kid, you know, there was guilt associated with it. Like, I had to get rid of all of my Pokemon cards. I couldn't have, like, Mario, because there were ghosts in that, and that, you know, you don't become a ghost when you die, you go to heaven. So, like, every little thing I couldn't have. But even like, in spite or despite the brainworms, I still, like, was predisposed to be very skeptical of things. Like, I remember having conversations with my pastor about, like, the Garden of Eden, and I'm like, so was there dinosaurs in the Garden of Eden? Because I learned in school that the Earth is millions and millions and millions of years old, and dinosaurs existed millions of years ago. And then, the pastor would tell me this bullshit answer. Well, if you read the book of Job, it talks about the tails of beasts being as big as palm trees. And I actually read it like 3 times. I'm like, this shit isn't in here. And then I have conversation. They completely make it up. And then I'd have conversations with my pastor. And I'm like, okay, here's the thing. I understand that God created everything. I believe you. But who created God? Like, where did that come from? And who created the God that created God? And my pastor laughed at me, saying, I think you just need to have faith. But it's like,
that's
even
always
when you're
what it
in
is. It's faith. You just have to have faith in what? In
Yeah.
this God? I'd rather have faith in my dog, like, living until they're fucking 30 than this God who I can't see any evidence for.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if you're a curious person, then religion doesn't have the answers, because it's just accept what is in front of you, not even like what's in front of you, like tangibly, but like it's accept what we tell you, essentially, which to me was not great, because like growing up I was always very interested in like science and dinosaurs, I mean, what kid isn't, but like the scientific, like what killed them, like I was interested in these things and astronomy and whatnot. So it wasn't satisfactory to just be like, oh, we'll have faith. You're not going to know the answer to who created God and who created the God that created the God. And that wasn't acceptable for me. And it's not to say that, like, if you choose to be atheist, you're going to have all the answers. Of course not. But
I mean, that's kind of the point,
more.
though, right? Like, when you become an atheist, you know that you won't have all the answers, and that, like, that's kind of the point. Is like religion tries to answer unanswerable questions, and it just creates this weird paradox. Whereas, like, when you're an atheist, it's like, yeah, who knows? Are we in a simulation? Maybe. I don't know. But it's cool to think about. And then, you're done thinking about it, and that's it. You move on to do something else. It's not like it's in the back of your head all the time, and then, like, God is like, all right, now bully this person, or, like, that's the thing. It's like, if people were just, like, believing in this stuff, or, like, just, like, thought about it, if you read the Bible and you think it's a cool book, and it's like, that's fine. I mean, but, like, the other thing